Hello everyone, it's George from Ireland. So welcome back to my channel. This video is about the International Criminal Court and its issuance of arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and indeed the man who used to be the Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant. So indeed the state of Israel is irate about this, about the merest possibility that these enormous scale war criminals might one day face justice. So it's been welcomed by much of the international community. The United States, which is the aider and abettor of these crimes against humanity in Gaza, is of course aghast that its minions might be brought to book. They can't possibly have that. Remember, the United States encouraged the formation of the International Criminal Court, indeed signed the Rome Statute thereof, but didn't ratify it. The United States has been all in favor of arraigning citizens of other countries before international military tribunals or criminal tribunals in for the Far East, in Nuremberg, Germany, in the former Yugoslavia, in Rwanda, elsewhere, but their people are to be unique, are somehow exempt from international law, from justice, from all these human rights instruments the United States has signed and ratified, various human rights conventions, the Geneva Convention, the Hague Convention, and subsequent things, Convention Against the Crime of Genocide. That's okay to commit these crimes if you're an American. You must never be called to account elsewhere. Now, the ICC does not do this lightly. It took them a very long time. This has been going on for over a year. And indeed, they've issued arrest warrants for some people in Hamas who indeed were killed by Israel. Now, if Israel really thought they were guilty, of course, they could have handed them over to the ICC to face trial. But no, indeed, they didn't. So people don't get their day in court. Israel claims not to have the death penalty, but will kill people without trial or charge all the time. But the most important thing is 40,000 civilians murdered in Gaza. 40,000. And that is a conservative estimate. 17,000 of whom are children. Think about that. 17,000 kids. What if it was 17,000 Israeli children? Would that be okay, according to the United States or Israel? What if it was 17,000 American children murdered by a foreign power? Would Washington, D.C. being saying this is self-defense? It's absolutely sickening. And politicians from various Western countries, like the United Kingdom, Germany, and so on, tripping over themselves to make excuses for Israel that somehow it's okay. British aid workers murdered by the Israeli army, and somehow it's the victims' fault, and the UK government speaks up for the Israelis and not for their own people, innocent victims trying to save civilians' lives, who told the Israelis where they were going, when they were going, which vehicle they were going in. The IDF killed them anyway. They knew exactly what they were doing. So it is long overdue. Now, of course, the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, and Netanyahu have denounced it. Netanyahu says this word, which is his breathing, part of his breathing rhythm, anti-Semitism. He's got echolalia for that word. Hello, anti-Semitism. How anti-Semitism are anti-Semitism? You anti-Semitism. Anything doesn't go his way is anti-Semitic. It's just ludicrous. Okay, it is not anti-Semitic to uphold international law. It is not anti-Semitic to defend human rights. Human rights are applicable to everyone, Jewish, Gentile, every religion, every ethnicity, every race, every nationality ever in the world. Is to do with being human, and like no exceptions. And so we go on. So it's very sad that he probably will get away with his crimes. We live in such an unjust world, and of course Israel has denounced as shameful. What's shameful that these mass murders should be perpetrated by the state of Israel. Okay, mostly made up of Jewish people. No one should be mistreated for being Jewish or any other ethnicity or religion. And Jews themselves suffer genocide within living memory. And of course, their various courageous Jewish people who denounce Netanyahu and his grisly gang for what they really are. So genocide against Palestinian civilians. Even the Israeli army admits 70% of those whom they've killed, 70% are women and children. Many of the 30% who are men will also be totally innocent, not in Hamas as well. So 124 countries have signed up to the International Criminal Court. Republic of Ireland, proud to say we are. The United Kingdom as well ratified the Rome Statute. They must face trial in The Hague, and they could face life imprisonment without possibility of parole, which would be mild considering their crimes. So they meticulously research this with pedantic lawyers' eye to detail. They go through exactly what happened and pointed out that Israel and indeed Palestine are high contracting parties to the Geneva Conventions, and Israel's in illegal military occupation of much of Palestine. So Israel has the prime minister as Netanyahu. He has directed these crimes against humanity, particularly against civilians. So there is ample evidence that they deliberately deprived civilians of food, of drinking water, of medicine, of fuel, of electricity, and they did so for about 6 months. So they blocked humanitarian aid. That is in gross violation of international humanitarian law, which says that the occupying power is obliged to use every possible measure it can to distribute humanitarian relief. So they deliberately starved Palestinians to death. So many children killed, but don't expect to see that on the news in the United States or many other Western countries. It's just heartbreaking, these scenes. And yes, I know there was that Hamas attack of the 7th of October last year, in which about 1,000 people were killed, most of them civilians. Okay, just like the IDF. And when the Wehrmacht, the SS, and so on, when they murdered Jewish civilians, they would say it was an anti-partisan operation. And all right, they would kill a handful of partisans, just like the IDF now will murder thousands of Palestinian civilians, and they'll kill a handful of Hamas combatants, and they'll call it a counter-terrorist operation. But this is massive-scale state terrorism, aided, funded, directed by the United States, intelligence sharing, weapons which are given, money which is given, diplomatic support. This is illegal. What is Israel's doing at any level? Totally illegal. Is against the United Nations Security Council resolution. So that is international law. Israel's breaking international law on an enormous scale every single day and getting away with murder. It is infuriating. It's absolutely sickening that there are many politicians in the United Kingdom in particular who will speak up to them, like Robert Jenrick and so on, an advocate for genocide. And the next Nuremberg, he must be there in the dock. So they have deliberately prevented medical supplies from getting into Gaza. And okay, they have occasionally allowed a few things in. Anesthetics, they want to keep people, cause people the maximum possible agony. People have had to have amputations without anesthetics. Can you believe how inhumane that is? How possibly sadistic this is? And it's been going on and on and on. And they could give you chapter and verse on more and more of this. So crimes against humanity, war crimes. I mean, the evidence is absolutely irrefragable. There is a mountain of evidence proving this. Anything, you can see video images every day of Israeli soldiers beating up Palestinian civilians, disabled people, children, elderly people. And this is what they'll do sometimes, knowing they're on camera, humiliating people. It's absolutely sickening. And when Hamas does it to Israeli civilians, is equally nauseating. It's noisome. There's got to be an equal application of these laws. It can't be disapplied to one side, saying it's in self-defense. Even there is self-defense, that is not a limitless justification. That's not carte blanche for all these crimes. You're not allowed to torture under any circumstances whatsoever. That is the Convention Against Torture, Inhuman and Degrading Treatment. No matter what, no torture ever. That's it. You might think that law is unjust. Maybe it is, but there's absolutely no question that that is the law. So they have deliberately killed civilians. Their snipers have shot children in the head, knowing exactly what they're doing. No mistake, no doubt. They've got state-of-the-art military technology. They say they've got pinpoint precision. So when they kill somebody, they are doing it on purpose. You know, if there is one Hamas fighter in a block of flats and they collapse and killed 100 people, they will say it's permissible. It absolutely is not. Yes, Hamas are close to the civilian population because in its extremely densely populated place. And what would you do if you're a Palestinian, if you see your family being murdered? Would you want to defend them or not? Fight back? Because you can't run away. They're not being allowed out. Anyway, it really, drives me furious. It drives me just insane, this horror. So lucky to live in peace. There is so much injustice in the world. There is so much cruelty. And it's actively expedited by the United States, Germany, the UK, and so on. Germany morally blackmailed of the actions before 1945. Now, no question about the Holocaust happened. Nobody in Germany alive today is responsible for that, and they shouldn't be punished. And it doesn't make it excusable to facilitate what's happening to Palestinian people right now. So it is the most screaming injustice the terrible, terrible suffering inflicted upon the Palestinians. And it is sickening to see American politicians lining up to be cheerleaders for the mass murder of civilians in Gaza, and to say that they're going to take firm action against the International Criminal Court for doing its duty to uphold international law without fear, without favor, trying to start a hair, trying to slur Karim Khan. Even if the accusations against Karim Khan are absolutely true, none of that is a diminution of one iota of the horrendous crimes against humanity committed by Netanyahu and his cabinet. Not all Israelis are bad. Some Israeli soldiers would be good. Good people do evil things, and evil people do good things. And rage blinds people. And that happens to the Palestinians and the Israelis. And people say, our lives are on the line, morality be damned, we'll do anything, we'll be absolutely merciless. And obviously, Israel started storing up an ocean of hatred for itself. It is really heartbreaking to see what's happening, and it's very sad, and it's very maddening that Netanyahu will probably get away with it and enjoy a comfortable retirement and be cheered to the echo by his enablers in the United States and abroad. There is very little justice in the world. Anyway, thank you for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate on PayPal, georgecallahan79 at gmail.com. Goodbye.